Hi everybody, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. Uh, Trying a different angle because the light is really. I'm trying to see if this will be better. But yeah, thank you. This is basically. It's been almost over a month since my last video because I figured since it was the anniversary anyway, let's have a bunch of videos at once coming together. Because honestly, the earliest time I could have recorded this video was like last week, and since it was that close to the anniversary, I just said screw it, let's just get as many videos as I can all at once for the 30-year anniversary of my journey. So yeah, it's been 3 years, and the reason I'm putting these into three parts again is always because of the amount of space I have in the description of these videos. Because I always put the links to the stories as well as the descriptions of the stories, so that takes up space, and they only have so much characters. There's a character limit per video, so that's why I break these out I into only like 7. I could probably do more if I just like used link shorteners and other stuff, but that sounds like too much quality for my kind of thing. I am a very bare bones basic shit production. That's how this works, and 3 years has not changed that. But all right, let's get down to some more stories, and I think let's just dive in. Starting with "Hunting for Potions" by Devil Reader. And this is a story based on a idea from Rorschah Blot's Odd Ideas collection stories, where Harry decides he doesn't want to be in Britain anymore and goes to Africa to start hunting potions ingredients. Um, it's doesn't get much further than the original idea from a plot perspective, but it is longer and fills the gaps between the scenes from the original story, from the original idea, with pretty humorous additions that made it worth checking out because they both are funny on their own, but and also mesh well with the original idea. I really like this a lot. Like I found I humor is an easy sell, and I love Rorschach Blot stuff, which is like half of this is just stuff from the original chapters. So I really did enjoy this, and it's gonna stay on my list. Uh, Number two is Persona Fate by Tyrant Yoshitsuna. And this is a Persona 3 crossover with Fate Stay Night, where Minato in Persona 3 chooses the coward's way out and, dooms the world, and then gets dropped into Fuyuki City, replacing Shirou. Uh, this is an incomplete fic where the story doesn't actually get very far, as it ends still like when they're still like 11 years old, so it's like long before the Grail War. But it's still really enjoyable because Minato obviously has basically an 18-year-old mindset going in as a child, and he just plays around with her, and because his emotions are pretty much all over the place because of the amount of personas he has, like basically making him go crazy in a sense. Uh, and the main thing here is Minato's many conversations with people, as he acts like a true child and messes with the main super serious cast of Fate. Uh, Basically, this whole story comes down to like one joke or one idea that gets repeated throughout the entire thing, which is whether you enjoy the reading a child tease just about everybody he speaks with in ways, you know, not not in like a single particular way, but like just the idea of a child constantly like fucking with people in a pretty simple manner. Like if you enjoy that, which I really just did, you'll enjoy this. Otherwise, it's a pass for you, but it's gonna stay on my list. Number three is Jinchuriki of Mahora by Never Ending Dawn, and this is Naruto meeting Nagima for as many crossovers are. And it's basically, so Naruto, he gets into a fight with people. Kakashi dies, gives Naruto his Sharingan, and then Toby just like yeets him, or somebody yeets him into the Nagima-verse, and then he just gets picked up and becomes Neji's teaching assistant, as most Nagima +1 fics do. And there's not much to say about this. As with many unfinished Nagima fics, it doesn't get very far into the plot, and it doesn't make any smaller arcs to give any feel of narrative conclusion, so you don't feel satisfied with anything. And then on the other side, even though it's a Nagima fic, so there's lots of room for harem comedy and stuff, it's not particularly funny. Like, this one focuses more on the drama and adventure aspect of the story, and so there's just nothing to latch onto and nothing for your brain to like remember once it's gone. Like, I had no problem reading it, but at the same time I forgot about it an hour later, so it's not going to stay on my list. Number 4 is How I Learned to Stop Worrying by Harry Lefferts. And the title is a play on the movie Doctor Strangelove, which full title is Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. This one's called How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Changeling, because it's a My Little Pony fic, where Twilight and Chrysalis, right at the end of the season 2 finale, basically get sucked into a portal and then get summoned with the tale of dimension hopping, where they basically grew and became lovers. That we get basically nothing of. Like, we only get a brief snippet into their first jump, which is basically Jurassic Park, I believe, before it ends, and with some like a couple jokes about the main pair's relationship being overly affectionate. It's mildly entertaining, but there's nothing memorable or truly amazing, and easily skippable. It's gonna fall off my list. Alright. Moving on to The Runaway in Jump by Ned Finn Tannen. And this is a Danny Phantom crossover with the Teen Titans, where Danny flees to Jump City after a fight with the Fright Knight, injures Sam, and then everybody basically blames him, and he has to leave. And then it's another one of these fics where he's basically doesn't want to be a hero, and he blames himself that I'm not worthy of being a hero. I'm gonna go to a different city, and he ends up in Jump City, and then gets sucked into the Teen Titans like shenanigans and stuff like that. I've read a bunch of these, and a lot of the times with certain fics, not just fics like the Teen Titans, but there's a lot of fics that I've read that can be looked at like TV shows, or like are written like TV shows in structure, as opposed to just like books or full on like story arcs and that kind of sense. And by that I mainly mean like more episodic while still being like having a small overarching theme. And this basically is like half a season of a show, where we get a few episodes of interactions and see the beginnings of a relationship and like a few bits of there, and then the show just got canceled. There's a few bits here that brought a smile to my face, but it's mostly just played straight. And you know how I've said before, if you're focusing all on story, the story has to be there for it to be compelling and satisfying for the reader. And since there just isn't any complete story arcs, it ends up becoming a whole lot of nothing. It's going to fall off my list. Next is another Danny Phantom crossover. This one called XPhantom by BBRAE623. And this is a crossover with the X-Men Evolution TV show, which I really got so confused while reading. Basically, Danny like almost immediately goes to the X Mansion when he goes to the X Mansion after leaving his home, and basically within like a couple minutes after getting there, he goes into stasis and hibernation for like a year, and then hops out and interacts with the main cast in like really confusing ways, because it basically jumps a year in the X-Men storyline. So like it's starting at it starts with introducing him before everyone else is there, so before season 1 of the X-Men Evolution, and then it jumps to a year later, so at season 2 ish, and I don't know why, and it quickly becomes a very jumbled mess in terms of plot, and what I could make out and understand was just not interesting enough for me to try and puzzle out the rest. I don't really have much to say. If you could follow what was going on, maybe you could like it also, but I was really confused and also really uninterested with this thing. I don't know why I put this on my list in the first place, but I'm gonna be taking it off now. All right, and last for this first part of video, for this one part, is Poisoned Heart by White Tiger Wolf, and this story is a Batman crossover with Harry Potter that starts off with the idea that this is a femme Harry wrong boy who lived fic, but also she gets into some potion and becomes like aged up to like 20, like when she's still 10 years old or something, and then just flies and becomes poison ivy, and then just people are, and really picks up basically after Order of the Phoenix, or during the 5th year, where they want to bring her poison ivy back to get dragged to fight Voldemort. And that's like the first hook, like that's the main hook that's gets set up in like chapter 1's, like that's what's gonna happen, and then it just puts it off for the entire rest of what was written, for instead building a relationship between her and Barbara Gordon, while also getting entangled with a few other affairs on the DC side. Like, okay, I mean, granted, I don't care. I didn't see. I was kind of like, the way they set up the characters, I didn't want to see the Harry Potter characters that much, because they're set up to be all assholes and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, it's this whole story just felt like a lot of stuff happening, like things just happening but are not significant in any way. Not in the sense of the plot, but it just didn't feel like I should give a shit. I didn't feel like I cared that much. Nothing really got resolved, and it just kept things just kept getting piled on and on and on before, like, I was like, okay, this problem's going on, like we gotta solve this, and like, oh wait, this problem brought this problem, and then this problem brought this problem, this, and it's just like nothing's getting solved, so there's no satisfaction or just even, this is done with. Like, there was none of that, and so it doesn't feel satisfying, and the rest of it is also like fine enough, like, to read, but again, nothing. I right now could not really remember much or anything really in particular, so it's gonna fall off my list. And that's gonna be part 1 of the 3-year anniversary set of videos. We'll do a quick fan fiction status. I've now read 700. With this part, it'll be 766 stories read, and 367 stories staying on my list. Thank you so much for watching. Links to these stories will be in the description, and I will see you for part 2. Thank you.